and she has made a remarkable personality of her own with her own efforts. So here I would like to welcome Tulsi ma'am with my whole heart, and here we can start the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Can we
Can
start?
you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning to everyone. First of all, there were so much of problem. Technical glitches were there, so I was little bit disturbed of out of it. And now, relax. We can start the session. My heartfelt thanks and gratitude to National Teachers Association India, Mr. Farooq and Mr. Manish, that you have incorporated me in this series of webinars. Thank you so much. So we'll start with the presentation which is given to me, that is research problems. How to find out or identify a research problem and how to formulate. Next slide, please. First of all, you have to know what are the questions are there in the mind of a researcher. Ask yourself, find out what are the problems are around you. Like whenever you go to clinical field, or whenever you are sitting in a library and you are reading a book or you are reading a journal, or whatever is existing with you, just find out what actually you wanted to do out of it. So selection of research process, that depends on several factors such as researcher knowledge, skill, interest, expertise, motivation and creativity with respect to the subject of inquiry. And it is like identification of a destination before undertaking a journey. So once you know what are the facts you want to assess, then only you have to proceed on with your activity. Next slide, please. Now we'll see research topic. What is research topic? The broad general area expected to investigate. What is broad general area? Actually, we cannot have research on each and every area of a broad aspect. Suppose, for example, someone wants to have research on cancer. So it's not possible to cover all the areas of cancer. Cancer itself is a broad area. Then you come to the specific details. So accordingly, you have to select your areas first and then formulate a research problem, a situation or circumstance that requires a solution to be described, explained, or predicted. And once you know what are the questions are there in your head or in your mind, then only you can set up a research statement. There are some definitions. I think almost we all have gone through about different definitions given by different author. So here are some definitions according to Carlinger, a problem is an interrogative sentence or statement that asks what relation exists between two or more variables. As we all know, in a problem statement, there must be variables that can be two or more than two. And you have to see what are the variables you have to assess in a problem statement. And different other definitions also I have jotted down. Later on, you can take from Farooq sir, the students. Now, selection of a research problem. There are some points which has to be kept in mind while selecting a research problem, like the subject on which research work has been overdue should not be chosen. Mind this, overdue. That means somebody else was doing a research work, and due to some reason, if the researcher cannot do that task, don't go into that detail, because it will be difficult for you to throw a new light on it, because it was in that particular researcher's head what actually he or she wanted to do. Then the problem should neither be too narrow or too vague. That means there should be a problem statement which should not be like too much questions are answerable, because that will take again much time. The topic of the research should be familiar and feasible so that the researcher can easily have an access to related research materials or sources of research. Yes, of course, we have to keep in mind whether the research is going to be like very difficult in zone, or you have to see the accessibility of your everything. Then you should not be involving the controversial subject, because again that will create a big problem. While selecting a research problem, the researcher should also take into account the various factors such as importance of the subject, the qualifications, the training of researcher, the investment element in the research in terms of time, money, and energy. Remember, while jotting down the problem statement, always you have to see time, money, and energy. A research problem may come from several sources. What are the several sources are there? Next slide, sir. Next. Yeah. What are the sources of research problem? Like from where you can get the research problem in your head, like from practical experience, as I told you, then from daily problems, previous researches, what is being done, and then existing theories, technological changes, unexplored areas, discussion with the supervisors, or theory of one's own interest. These are the sources of research problem. Next slide, sir. Then formulation of research problem. How to formulate? Next slide. Selection of research areas. First of all, you have to know what are the areas you want to discover, and then reviewing the literature and theories accordingly. Delimiting the research topic, evaluating the research problem, formulating final statement of research problem. Next slide. Selection of a research area. How to select? So formulation of research problem begins with the selection of broad research topic. As I have already told you that, for example, I told you about this cancer. If you want to do research on cancer, it is not possible. So first of all, you have to see in which area you are interested, and accordingly, you have to go through the previous researches and theories, what is being done on that research, and accordingly, you have to go to a specific area of doing research. Then review of literature and theories. Here was an example of a library research. So literature is reviewed to know what has already been done in these selected areas of research. Then accordingly, you have to move on. Then delimiting the research topic. How to delimit? In this step, researcher proceeds from a general area to interest of more specific topic of research to conduct a study. I have given one example. Initially, a researcher decides to conduct a study on impact of library internship on MLIB student. Later in this stage, researchers limit to its specific research. What was that? A study on perception of MLIB students about impact on internship in Pondicherry University. So in this way, you have to limit down your study. Then evaluating the research problem. How to evaluate? Once the research is clear, what has to be done, like in specifically what has to be done, whether the research is feasible to do, everything you have to measure before jotting down the problem statement in final stage. So feasibility of the research problem should be evaluated from time, cost, availability of the subjects, resources, administrative and peer support, ethical consideration, and researchers' competence and interest. Then only you can evaluate the research properly. Then how to formulate the final statement of research? Like after establishing the significance, then once you know that the research statement is going to be feasible for you, and then you have to formulate a statement. And the statement can be like declarative in nature or interrogative in nature. Next. Here is an example of declarative format. In this format, research problem is stated in declarative statement. Like I have given one example, impact of library internship on MLib student of Pondicherry University. And while you do it in interrogative format, it will be like, what is the impact of library internship on MLib student of Pondicherry University? So declarative format is such popular among researchers because here isn't much questions in that, and the mindset of researcher is clear. So research problem is clearly and precisely articulated, and it clearly states the variables, population, and research setting under study. Variables are expressed in measurable terms, and the type of study may also be included in the statement of research problem. So once you are like know what you have to do, whether the research is feasible, and then you can articulate the statement properly in a declarative or in a interrogative manner, whatever is your choice. I think I have done with the formulation of problem statement. If anyone is having any doubt regarding to this, you can ask me. Poonam madam, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
So can we go to the next?
Okay, just wait, ma'am.
Research objectives. Yeah, this one. So I hope that the participant have understood the regarding formulation of problem statement, because once you formulate a problem statement, next you have to see what are the objectives you have to set in mind, because without objective setting in mind, you cannot proceed on simply in blank, because once your objectives are there, you have that limitations of doing your studies. So as we all know that research is an organized investigation of a problem in which there is an attempt to gain solution to a problem. So once clearly defined objectives are there, then the researcher know how to proceed on. Next slide, you can see direction to investigate the variables, because already now we have seen in problem statement that there will be variables. Variables can be independent variables, dependent variables, and these independent and dependent variables can be more than two also. So in that case, the investigator has to know what would be the direction to investigate the variables. And in order to investigate the variables, you need to jot down some of the objectives. The objectives of the research project summarizes. What it summarizes? What is to be achieved by the study. Objective should be closely related to the statement of the problem. It should not be like too narrow or too vague in nature. Objective also. What are the characteristics of research objectives? The characteristic of research objective, you can see, I have depicted is in a SMART process. That is, the objective should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Why it is time bound? Because if you don't have objective, if you don't bound your time, it can go for years and years. Research objective should be relevant, feasible, logical, observable, univocal, and measurable. Next. The objective should include obtaining the answer to research questions or testing the research hypothesis. As we all know that once you jot down your problem statement, you have to know what hypothesis is there. And before setting up the hypothesis, you have to know what is your assumption of the study. So once you assume what you want actually, then you find out your objectives, then you jot down your hypothesis. The hypothesis always has to be analyzed. Need of research objective. Why it is needed? With clearly defined objectives, the researcher can focus on the study. And once you don't have objective, you cannot focus on your study. And if you have your objective, whatever data you collect, like you can avoid the unnecessary data which interferes in your study. Properly formulated and specific objectives will facilitate the development of research methodology and will help to orient the collection, analysis, interpretation, and utilization of the data. Again, it is a benefit for you if you jot down the objectives. Now, objectives can be like two types: general objectives and specific objectives. General objectives, you know, in generally what a research depicts. The general objective of the study state that the researcher expect to achieve by the study in general terms. And in order to get a general objective specified, you have to know the specific objectives. Next slide, please. In specific objectives, the objectives are narrow in nature. That means the objective specifies the general objective. There will be very small questions in your mind regarding the problem statement or regarding your problem, and it specifies actually. And once like specific objectives are analyzed, then you get a generalized result. Here I have set an example. Next slide. Effectiveness of plan teaching on the knowledge of staff nurses working in psychiatric unit regarding physical restraints of psychiatric patient in selected hospital of Vidhanbar region. In this general objective, to assess the knowledge of staff nurses working in psychiatric unit regarding physical restraint. And specifically, if you go, like you have to assess the physical restraints among staff nurses, then evaluate the effectiveness of plan teaching program, and then you have to see the association of demographic variables. So these are the specific objectives. Methods of stating objectives. The objective should be presented briefly and consciously. It should not be too broader or too vague. They cover the different aspects of problem and its contributing factors. And then the objectives are clearly phrased in operational terms, specifying exactly what the researchers wants to do. And they are realistic, considering a local condition. Use action verbs. Now I'll tell you what are the action verbs we use. Next slide. To assess, to identify, to find out, to determine, to compare, to find, to verify, to calculate, to describe, to analysis, and to establish. These are the action verbs which we use in research. I think I have done with the objectives. If any participants want to ask, you are welcomed. I hope I could able to justify with both the topics. Now the third one is a hypothesis. This is again based on the basis of objectives you have to set. Hypothesis or hypotheses are defined as the formal statement of the tentative or expected prediction or explanation of the relationship between two or more variables. As we all know that in problem statement, we have variables. Those variables we want to focus in study, and accordingly you prepare your objectives. And once your objectives are prepared, now you focus on your hypothesis, because hypothesis is a statement or assumption which has to be tested statistically. Next to next. Next. contributions of hypothesis. What actually hypothesis does? It describes, explains, and predicts the expected results or outcome of the research. It indicates the type of research design. It directs the research study process, and it identifies the population of the research study that what are the functions of hypothesis? Like it enables the investigator to start his research work. It may lead to formulation of another hypothesis, and it leads to interpret results, drawing conclusions related to original purpose. Now we will see what are the types of hypothesis. Next slide. The types of hypothesis I have jotted down: research hypothesis, null hypothesis, and testable hypothesis. And then under research hypothesis, there are like associative hypothesis. Under research hypothesis, associative hypothesis, causal hypothesis, non-directional hypothesis, directional hypothesis, complex hypothesis, and simple hypothesis. I hope you all are understanding this sequence. Next slide, please. And then under null hypothesis, you have again simple hypothesis, complex hypothesis, causal hypothesis, associative, null hypothesis. Next, testable hypothesis. Under simple hypothesis, this is only to test or examine two variables like dependent and independent variables. For example, smoking leads to cancer. Now you have to test actually why smoking leads to cancer and how it happens. That has to be statistically analyzed. I have given example also in the next slide. So later on you can go through. I'll ask Farooq sir to give you all the slides. Then again, complex hypothesis. In complex hypothesis, it is like we have to, next slide please. We have to set up relationship between independent and dependent variables, and that can be like with different, like more than 2 or 3 dependent and independent variables can be there. So it is, that's why it is called complex. I have given an example also in this. See, for a fully bedridden patient, too early position changing, too early back care, high protein diet, this all are like multiple this one variables, independent and dependent variables, and that has to be assessed by complex hypothesis. Then again, next slide, directional hypothesis. It just gives a direction, whether the direction has to be positive or negative. Like high quality of nursing education will lead to high quality of nursing practice. This high quality, this hypothesis is maintaining a direction. Next is non-directional hypothesis. Again, in non-directional hypothesis, it predicts the relationship between independent variables and the dependent variables, but does not specifically it says the relationship, like teacher-student relationship influence student learning. There is no specific, like it has to be negative or it has to be positive. The next one is causal hypothesis. In causal hypothesis, it predicts a cause and effect relationship or interaction between the independent variable or dependent variable. This hypothesis predicts the effect of the independent on the dependent. What will be the cause and effect relationship? Like smoking causes cancer. What are the relation between smoking and cancer? We'll go to next slide, please. Associative hypothesis. In associative hypothesis predicts an associative relationship between independent variables and dependent variables. When there is a change in any one of the variables, there will be changes to the other also. But that means both the variables are associated with each other. That association can be positive or negative. Null hypothesis. What is null hypothesis? Next. Null hypothesis is also called statistical statistical hypothesis, because this type of hypothesis is used to prove a fact statistically, in order to have statistical testing and statistically interpretation. And null hypothesis predicts that there is no relationship. Remember, there is no relationship between the independent and dependent variables. It can sometimes happen. So because of that, some researchers take on null hypothesis along with the other H1 or H2 hypothesis. Simple hypothesis, example I have given, bed rest will not relieve severe asthma dyspnea. In this example, you can see the independent variable is independent, that is bed rest, does not have any causal relationship with the dependent variable, that is severe asthma. Then again, there is a complex null hypothesis. I have given example. You can see that smoking, drug abuse, alcoholism, tobacco use, etc. have no relationship in the occurrence of malaria, mumps, or chickenpox. So some researchers take complex null hypothesis also. Then again, causal null hypothesis. I have given example again. High intake of fluid does not cause tissue edema. In the above example, the independent variable, that is high fluid intake, does not have any causal relationship with the dependent variable such as tissue edema. Then again, associative null hypothesis, increase does in antibiotic will not reduce body temperature. So all the examples I have given, you can take later on this PPT. You will finding easier to study. Testable hypothesis. The testable hypothesis predicts relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. And these variables are testable and measurable. For example, increase in patient's body temperature causes increase in patient's pulse rate. So this can be tested. I think I am done with the hypothesis also. Poonam ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I have done with the problem statement and then objective and the hypothesis. I hope all the participants could understand what I actually wanted to say.
Definitely, ma'am. There are few queries in,
yeah.
yes, ma'am. There are few queries in QA box.
Okay.
So we will take one by one. The first one is, formulation of research statement is difficult. Please explain by some examples.
Formulation of research problem. If you want to formulate a research problem, you have to first see and think on which topic or on which concept or on which phenomena you want to study on. Then only it will be clear to you. I have already given you an example, like if anyone wants to have investigation on cancer, it is not possible to investigate the cancer at a whole stage, because cancer has a different branches. Cancer itself is a very broad aspect. So you have to see in which cancer you have to study. Like, first of all, you have to specify. If you want to have you want to have research on lung cancer, then go for it. You then find out what are the causes, and then under causes you look into what are the causes can cause lung cancer, and then from different causes you take out one specific one. So it's not possible either unless and until you find out what actually it is in your mind to study. Then only you can formulate a research problem. I hope I could justify. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Simply, I would like to add on that. First, you have to observe the problem near about you. You want to study on that. Then from generalize, you have to go to the specific points. Like ma'am has explained, cancer is a very broad category. You want to make a study related to cancer. Then in cancer also different branches are there. For example, you want to go for breast cancer, cervix cancer, lung cancer. Then in lung cancer also we have to specify the things which we want to study, because till not the study will be specific. So the area will be very broad and we cannot justify with the facts.
Yes,
so I hope it's very clearable, ma'am. Thank you. Next question is, what factors actually decide formulation of problem statement is these are objective or something else?
What factors?
Yes, actually decide formulation of problem statement. I think this is the same we have stated already.
Same. Yeah. The same question, same answer.
The researcher must be agree that on
Yes.
which field he want to
Which
conduct the
field
study.
and which phenomena has to be taken, whether it is infinite or finite phenomena, that subject has to be stated first, and then you go to the specific things. Like for hand washing also, we can say that this is very common topic, hand washing, and under that we can see that medical hand washing is there, surgical hand washing is there. Then again you have to see whether you want to study only medical hand washing technique or only surgical hand washing technique, and accordingly you have to specify.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. The researcher's interest should be found. आपको पता होना चाहिए. You should know your interest, in which area you want to conduct the study. Then you can go on from generalized to the specific things. Next question we are having, ma'am. Is it necessary to make null hypothesis in every research study?
No, I don't think it is necessary. Almost all the researcher, what I have seen in my experience, we in nursing do not take null hypothesis. We actually take a hypothesis 1 and 2, and null hypothesis in any case when you are going to assess a newer area and you don't know what you don't assume, because unless and until you assume your research, your research findings, first of all, you have to have in your mind that what actually you are going to test. So if you are not sure about, and if you are taking a broader aspect, or if you are taking a very, very newer topics, then only you can have null hypothesis. Otherwise, I don't think it is necessary to take null hypothesis.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question is, what do you mean by variables?
Variables are very simple. They are the attributes of the study. Actually, when you formulate a research problem statement and you do not know on which subject or which objective you are going to study, that research statement itself will be fake, because variables you can understand: dependent, that is cause and effect variables, dependent and independent variables, and unless these attributes are present in the study, the study will be null. Yes. Hello. Yes.
We are having variables like independent and dependent. Dependent is one which is getting affected by the independent variable, or which may have effect, and independent which is creating effect to the another thing, like smoking caused lung cancer. Smoking is the independent variable and lung cancer is depending upon the smoking. If you continue smoking, you will be chances of developing lung cancer. So this is the relationship between two variables.
And there are extraneous variables also which can affect your main study. So that variables has to be like when you set down the objectives, that time itself you have to know what are the external factors can affect your study. So accordingly you have to proceed on. So variables can be dependent variables, independent variables, as well as extraneous variable which are not included in your study but can affect your study indirectly.
Thank you, ma'am. We have cleared all the queries. I think Neha ma'am is there. Meha ma'am, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Yes, ma'am. So we are here completed with the session. So Meha ma'am, please carry forward with the, as I haven't that much introduced about Tulsi ma'am, you can carry on, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience caused by me because of some technical problem. This is Meha Rawat, Principal, Deshmukh College of Nursing from Ujjain region, and I'm the Treasurer of Nursing Teachers Association. Especially sorry, Tulsi ma'am, for the inconvenience caused by me. And I'm very much thankful to Farooq sir, Manish sir for giving me this opportunity to act as a moderator in this webinar series. And I'm very glad to introduce Tulsi ma'am, but unfortunately I missed the opportunity. But even though I'm very happy to see you, Tulsi, and as she presented very well, She's she is PhD and she has done her PhD in medical surgical nursing. She is the principal of Indore Nursing College, and she got Global Teacher Award in 2016. She is the most promising educationist in the year of 2017 and had best research paper presentation in international conference organized by the Omics International 2015, and she presented the topic very well. The topic was problem identification, including aim, objective, and hypothesis of the study. And to find out the problem, she dealt very nicely that how we have to select the problem and how for selecting the problem, what are the steps we have to follow, like review of the literature, selecting the research area, and introducing the general and general objectives, and just to formulate the the statement of the research problem. She dealt with the hypothesis also, and with this how to deal with the how to deal or how to select the objectives. There are so many objectives, how we have to select the objectives. These objectives are the general objectives, maybe specific objectives, and after making objectives, we can go for the hypothesis and how we have to formulate the objectives, like research hypothesis. So, Tulsi,
Yes.
I hope that everyone has understood that all the doubts. It was very nice presentation presented by you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Meha ma'am.
Thank you, Meha ma'am and Tulsi ma'am. As students, or you can say the participants, has gained a lot today, how to formulate the problems, and they can carry forward with the variables and how to make hypothesis. And I think this is the most important part when we are making a research project or research study. Thank you, ma'am. It was an excellent presentation. And
Thank you so much.
moreover, I would like to inform the attendees, today's second session will start at 2 p.m. on the topic review of literature. So till then, you people have rest. We will share the link to you on your mail IDs. You will get the information. If anyone has not received, please let me know. And we will see you at 2 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.